Now in the deep group of muscles of the front of forearm, there are three muscles which we are going to discuss: flexor pollicis longus, flexor digitorum profundus and pronator quadratus. So therefore, now here what we'll do will be, please do alongside with me, the front of the anterior aspect of the radius and ulna. That is what we are going to show. We are not going to show the capitulum, trochlea and the medial and lateral epicondyle of humerus, because that already we have shown as the superficial group of muscles used to take origin from medial epicondyle, from a common flexor group. Now the deep group of muscles of front of forearm will take origin from radius and ulna. So it is mandatory for us to draw the radius, the head, the neck of the radius. Similarly here we come up with the body of the radius, radial tuberosity. Once again we are going to extend here. Please draw in this way. This is the radius bone. Then we are going to show the coronoid process of ulna. And this is the lower end, head of the ulna. This which I am drawing will be the head of the ulna, the styloid process and the head of the ulna. And here this is the styloid process of radius. Lower end of the radius will be lower than the lower end of ulna. So here we have drawn this two. Now we are going to show the entire origin of the three deep muscles of the front of forearm. Flexor pollicis longus, the first muscle. Flexor pollicis longus will take origin from number one, it will be from the anterior surface of the radius, below the anterior oblique line. So if this is the anterior oblique line, below the anterior oblique line, the anterior surface of radius will give origin to the flexor pollicis longus muscle. Number one. Number two, it will take origin from interosseous membrane. So here there is presence of interosseous membrane, and this interosseous membrane which is present between radius and ulna. Here I am drawing this interosseous membrane which is present between radius and ulna. So this interosseous membrane will also serve as a source of origin of flexor pollicis longus. So flexor pollicis longus will also take origin from interosseous membrane. Number two. Number one, from anterior surface of the radius below the anterior oblique line. Number two, from interosseous membrane. And number three, occasional head. This number three is occasional head from the medial margin of coronoid process of ulna. Medial margin of coronoid process of ulna. On the medial margin of coronoid process of ulna, already we have discussed the origin of two previous muscles. And what were those two previous muscles? Number one, first it was flexor digitorum superficialis. Second, there was pronator teres. Now the third will be an occasional head of flexor pollicis longus in this way. So if I term this as flexor digitorum superficialis, medial margin of coronoid process, once again medial margin of coronoid process, here I will term this as pronator teres head, and the third head will be occasional head of flexor pollicis longus from medial margin of coronoid process of ulna. So this is an occasional head also. This head will be an occasional head. 3 points of origin of flexor pollicis longus. Once again I am going to repeat. The first point is anterior surface of radius below the anterior oblique line. Second point, from interosseous membrane. Third point, occasional head from medial margin of coronoid process of ulna. Very simple. Now here one point you need to mention because it is asked in MCQ. The oblique cord, there is a presence of oblique cord here, and this oblique cord is present between radius and ulna. The oblique cord which is present between the radius and ulna, this oblique cord is nothing but a remnant of or degenerated part of flexor pollicis longus muscle. The oblique cord which is present between radius and ulna is nothing but it is a degenerated segment of flexor pollicis longus. So here if I draw this oblique cord, it will be like this. Very simple, oblique cord. Now insertion. The insertion of this flexor pollicis longus muscle will be, it will pass directly beneath the flexor retinaculum. It will condense into a tendon, and this tendon, this is the tendon which will pass beneath the flexor retinaculum. And here we will take the help of this diagram. Please come on this side. The entire carpal and metacarpal bone. The tendon of flexor pollicis longus will then be inserted directly into the palmar surface of the base of the distal phalanx of the thumb, or palmar surface of the base of distal phalanx of the pollex. This is the insertion of flexor pollicis longus. What is the nerve supply? The nerve supply will be anterior interosseous branch of median nerve, anterior interosseous branch of median nerve supply. And the action will be the flexion of the distal phalanx of the thumb, or the flexion of the interphalangeal joint of the thumb. So when you flex the distal phalanx of the pollex thumb, that is the action of flexor pollicis longus. So here we have finished one muscle, the deep group of muscles of the front of forearm. The first muscle we have finished, flexor pollicis longus. Now we come back on this side and we start with the second muscle, the second main muscle, which is the bulkiest muscle of the front of forearm, flexor digitorum profundus. Flexor digitorum profundus, once again, first point, it will take origin from anterior and medial surface of upper 3/4 of ulna. Anterior and medial surface of upper 3/4 of the ulna. This is the point of origin. It will form the bulk of the front of the forearm, bulkiest muscle. It will take origin from, mark the point, first point, from the anterior and medial surface of upper 3/4 of ulna. Second point, it will also take origin from medial surface of the coronoid and olecranon process of ulna. Medial surface of olecranon and coronoid process of ulna. Medial surface of olecranon and coronoid process of ulna. Third point, it will also take origin from the interosseous membrane. It will also take origin from interosseous membrane. And fourth point, it will also take origin from common aponeurosis of the posterior border of ulna. Remember, I have discussed with you in the superficial group of muscles of front of forearm, the common aponeurosis of the posterior border of the ulna, upper 2/3 of the posterior border of ulna. It will serve as a common aponeurosis for three muscles, flexor carpi ulnaris, extensor carpi ulnaris, and flexor digitorum profundus. So flexor digitorum profundus, the last point of origin will be from upper 2/3 of posterior border of ulna, which will serve as a common aponeurosis for three muscles, flexor carpi ulnaris, extensor carpi ulnaris, and flexor digitorum profundus. So this is flexor digitorum profundus muscle. This entire muscle which will serve as a bulk will be flexor digitorum profundus. Now here, this flexor digitorum profundus muscle, once again it will pass beneath the, deep to the flexor retinaculum. What will be the insertion? Please come on this side. The insertion of flexor digitorum profundus will be on this side. If we see, it will split into four tendons. Just like flexor digitorum superficialis, it will split into four tendons for index, middle, ring, and little finger. Each tendon will pass beneath the tendons of, remember we have drawn this as flexor digitorum superficialis. So each tendon will pass beneath the tendons of flexor digitorum superficialis. See here, each tendon will pass beneath the tendons of flexor digitorum superficialis. So deep to flexor digitorum superficialis, the tendons of flexor digitorum profundus are passing. Remember, they are passing deep to the flexor digitorum superficialis tendons. This is flexor digitorum profundus. And where is it inserted? It will pass between the split margins of, see here, it is passing between the split margins of which muscle? Flexor digitorum superficialis. So between the split margins of flexor digitorum superficialis, it will pass deep to it, and it will be inserted into the palmar surface of the base of the distal phalanx. Palmar surface of the base of distal phalanges. Of how many digits? Medial 4 digits, or medial 4 fingers, or index finger, middle finger, ring, and little finger. So the insertion of flexor digitorum profundus will be, it will divide into four tendons, and it will be inserted into palmar surface of the base of distal phalanges of index, middle, ring, and little fingers. It is traveling deep to which tendon? Deep to tendons of flexor digitorum superficialis. This is the insertion of flexor digitorum profundus. What is the nerve supply of flexor digitorum profundus, which is asked in MCQ? Very interesting. The nerve supply of flexor digitorum profundus will be medial half is supplied by the ulnar nerve, lateral half will be supplied by anterior interosseous branch of median nerve. So it is often asked in MCQs in this way that medial half means the tendons of ring finger and little finger. So the tendons of ring and little finger of flexor digitorum profundus will be supplied by ulnar nerve, and the tendons of index and middle finger, which comprises of lateral half of flexor digitorum profundus, will be supplied by anterior interosseous branch of median nerve. So the tendons of index and middle fingers of flexor digitorum profundus is supplied by anterior interosseous branch of median nerve, and the tendons of the ring and little finger of flexor digitorum profundus is supplied by ulnar nerve. Now we come to the action. If we come back here, the actions of flexor digitorum profundus will be, it will help in flexion of wrist joint as well as metacarpophalangeal joint, along with combined action of flexor digitorum superficialis. Once again I repeat, flexor digitorum profundus muscle along with flexor digitorum superficialis will help in the flexion of the wrist joint and metacarpophalangeal joints. And the second important action will be, if we come on this side, please come on this side, the second important action will be the insertion. See the point of insertion of flexor digitorum profundus, very interesting. This insertion is on the distal phalanx, so it will help in the flexion of the distal phalanges, or it will help in the flexion of the distal interphalangeal joints. It will help in flexion of the distal interphalangeal joints or flexion of the distal phalanges of medial 4 fingers or medial 4 digits or index, middle, ring and little finger. So when you flex the distal interphalangeal joints or when you flex the distal phalanges of index, middle, ring and little finger, that is the action of flexor digitorum profundus. And remember, in common with flexor digitorum superficialis, both the muscles, flexor digitorum superficialis and flexor digitorum profundus, combined together, they will help in flexion of the carpal joint, that is wrist joint, and metacarpophalangeal joint. Then we come to the third muscle. Please come on this side. The third muscle will be the final muscle of the deep compartment of front of forearm. This is flexor pollicis longus, this is flexor digitorum profundus, and in dissection, very beautifully you will be able to see deep to these two muscles will be pronator quadratus. Now what is the origin of pronator quadratus? The origin of pronator quadratus will be from the anteromedial part. There is a ridge on ulna. So in the lower 1/4 of the anteromedial part of the ulna, there is a ridge, and from this ridge, now here if I mark the origin, yellow color I am going to show, this is the ridge which is present on ulna. From the anteromedial margin, there is a ridge on lower 1/4 of ulna, there is origin of pronator quadratus. So the origin of pronator quadratus will be in this way, this is the origin. And the fibers are passing transversely. The fibers will pass transversely towards the radius. As they pass transversely towards the radius, they are divided into two groups. What are those two groups? Superficial and deep. The superficial group will be present, or it will be inserted in the anterior surface of radius, lower 1/4. Lower 1/4 of the anterior surface of radius is the insertion of the superficial fibers of pronator quadratus. Where will the deep fibers go? The deep fibers will be inserted across the triangular area just above the ulnar notch. Here there is ulnar notch for the head of the ulna. So this will form, the lower end will form the inferior radio-ulnar joint. Lower end of the ulna, head of ulna with the ulnar notch present on the radius will form the inferior radio-ulnar joint. Just above that, if I mark here, this is the triangular area above the ulnar notch. The deep fibers of this muscle is inserted in this triangular area on the radius, just above the ulnar notch of the radius. This is how pronator quadratus muscle is lying. But remember, this pronator quadratus is lying deep to these two muscles. So on the pronator quadratus, there will be flexor pollicis longus On the radial side and on the ulnar side, there will be presence of flexor digitorum profundus. In this way, dissection, you will see pronator quadratus. So when you dissect here, you will see first on the radial side, flexor pollicis longus. On the ulnar side, flexor digitorum profundus. And deep to it, you will see transversely oriented fibers of pronator quadratus. Once again, this pronator quadratus muscle taking origin from the anteromedial margin, there is a ridge of lower 1/4 of ulna. Lower 1/4 of ulna origin from the ridge on anteromedial margin. The fibers are directed towards radial side transversely, and they are inserted in two groups, superficial and deep. Superficial will be inserted on the lower 1/4 of anterior surface of radius, and the deep will be inserted on triangular area just above the ulnar notch on the radius. This pronator quadratus, as it is the deepest muscle beneath the flexor pollicis longus and flexor digitorum profundus, this muscle, it will be supplied by anterior interosseous branch of median nerve supply. And the actions of pronator quadratus are very interesting. The superficial fibers of pronator quadratus will help in pronation, movements of pronation of the forearm, pronation of the wrist, pronation of the forearm. So it will help, it is a pronator of the forearm. Deep group of muscles, that is the deep fibers of pronator quadratus. The deep fibers of pronator quadratus will help in binding the lower end of radius and ulna together. So during a fall on outstretched hand, the lower ends of the radius and ulna are bound together by deep fibers of pronator quadratus. Superficial fibers of pronator quadratus, they will help in pronation along with pronator teres. So here we finished the three deep muscles of the front of forearm: flexor pollicis longus, flexor digitorum profundus, and pronator quadratus. Thank you very much.